The men's basketball team will tip off the NCAA Tournament on Friday in Omaha against Coastal Carolina at approximately 8:20 p.m. on TBS. Head coach Bo Ryan is here, and we'll take questions. Gennaro?
Bo, how is Trayvon Jackson doing, and do you expect him to play on Friday?
I haven't seen him. We had yesterday off, and we were a little busy over the weekend, so I really haven't seen him. I'll know practice time today.
Stephanie?
Coach, do you have fond memories of playing in Omaha the last time back in 2008? Because obviously your team at that time went on to the Sweet 16.
Yeah, we beat a pretty good Kansas State team. If I remember correctly, a couple pros, maybe a top 2 or 3 draft pick, maybe the top pick in Beasley. I can't remember. He was a leading scorer in the country, something like that. But we played well. We used our big Steamsman and Butch, and they were very effective in that game. Was it Fullerton in the other game? Yep. Good guess. So yeah, I thought we played pretty well there. And then unfortunately, it's when Trayvon Hughes started having problems with his, well, they call it turf toe, but obviously he didn't get it running on the turf. But he couldn't play in the second half of our Davidson game. So I remember that too.
Bo, both you and Cliff Ellis from Coastal have been around a long time.
Okay, we're old. Yeah.
I'm not sure how often your paths have crossed on, off the court, but what do you know about him and his teams, if anything?
No, I just know he's a very sound coach. Fundamentally, his teams play that way, and if you could watch them as I have here this morning and last night a little bit. That's a heck of a 16 seed. I can remember seeing a lot of 16 seeds over the years, but what they did last year to prove that how capable they are, and then to come back this year, and for them to be in that spot, I think there's a lot of people surprised. I have not seen one show, have not had the television on, haven't listened to the radio. I only have Soul Town on my car, driving in and driving home. So on Sirius FM or Sirius XM, or whatever letters they use. So I don't know if anybody else has said anything, but after watching those games, if I'm Cliff Ellis, I'm pretty confident with the squad that he has. They're pretty good, and they're in the NCAA tournament, so they are good.
Well, has technology made scouting in situations like this easier, just in how quickly you're able to get information on a team like this, and maybe even plan ahead, knowing that there was only a limited number of teams you'd probably face? Were you able to do any advanced planning that way? Not you specifically, but
our managers tape all those games, so in case synergy goes down we don't rely totally on one thing. You always have to have backups. So we had our managers DVD a lot of games over the past couple weeks, especially all the tournaments.
Tom?
Well, how do you explain the fact that a 16's never beaten a number 1 in this tournament in 30 years?
I have no idea. There's been a lot of good games, including last year's. Wasn't Virginia won when they played Coastal Carolina, if I remember? And they're the kind of team that can play with anybody. I watched their game with Gardner-Webb, and Gardner-Webb beat Purdue, maybe. I can see how. They hit shots. They got good three-point shooters. They're athletic, defensively. So, of course, I'm told now that sometimes the 16 seed really isn't a 16 because they have the play-in games, and I'm like, well, what difference does it make? It's bracket. listed on a bracket, so you play it out.
Go ahead. Okay. Coach, I was just wondering, is there a different feeling for you at all going into the NCAA tournament as the #1 seed? I mean, for you, your players, do you notice a difference at all maybe in their attitude going into this tournament?
I didn't even realize we were a 2 until we went to the Sweet 16 last year. I didn't even know what we were the first 2 games in Milwaukee. I really didn't. Because when somebody told me that Arizona was ranked higher than us, I thought, well, they won their conference championship, so, you know. So what are we, a 3? No, Coach, you're a 2. Okay. Really, I did not know until we went to Anaheim. And we played Arizona. Didn't we have to wear our red uniforms? That's the other key that a coach gets. It's like living out in Palm Springs with some people that I got to know. Well, how do you keep track of the days? Well, there's only 2 days. When you see other trash cans out and when the fat paper is out on in your driveway. Wednesdays and Sundays. It's the only 2 days. So being a #1, you know that doesn't mean anything to me. Been in too many of these things.
I've got a couple of questions related to fouling. First off, late game situations, you're ahead or tied. How do you make the decision of whether to foul or play through on defense? And then what kinds of factors go into that decision?
Well, I can't give you all that. I mean, that's what I've learned is based on 40-some years of experience. And, you know, you just don't give that information out. But as far as fouling, it was real obvious against Michigan State. We only had 3 team fouls, so we're going to foul a couple times. But the rule is the player cannot have left his feet, so you're not fouling a shooter. And you have to be careful that a guy, if you go up to him, that he doesn't very quickly jerk the ball up in the air looking like he's in the act of shooting. Our guys did a great job of committing those 2 fouls. And, you know, on the skip pass across that they got for the shot, that was you can't run at the shooter and foul him. So fortunately, it was those mid-range jumpers along the baseline are not the easiest shots in the world. So that's why we had that strategy then. But there's different things that go into it.
And then generally, how do you teach guys to play effectively without fouling? You lead the
Use
country
your
in
feet.
that.
Don't reach in with your hands. If you dig in, try to dig up. And I'm tired of listening to other coaches yelling from the sideline, "Hey, when are you going to call a foul on them?" And I want to yell down, "When we foul." But I don't do that. We don't leave our feet a lot. I've always prided ourselves at Platteville for 15 straight years. We led the country in the fewest number of block shots. And here at Wisconsin, we blocked some shots. We've had some guys who were capable of doing it without fouling. But that's a statistic that I don't mind losing, block shots. It still goes back to one game in particular against Stevens Point that we won a conference championship on. We went to the line, we were 28 for 32 from the free throw line. Fouled 2 of their big guys out, 2 of their best players, and shot 29%. The way you shoot 29% is they blocked a bunch of our shots, but they also got their bigs in foul trouble and were off the court. We end up getting free throws, and that's another way you can try to be on the left-hand side. But play defense with your feet, position. Heck, most of the fouls we had were us trying to take charges. They weren't reach-in fouls. But if you look at our arms of our players after those 3 games in the Big Ten tournament, Band-Aid, you buy the stock. Who does Band-Aids? Johnson & Johnson, or buy the stock. Mercurochrome, whatever that stuff is you put on cuts. You should see our guys' arms. after those 3 games. I was almost bleeding.
Coach, as the season kind of winds down, awards are getting kind of handed out. You were named a finalist, or one of 4 finalists for the Coach of the Year. Care to comment on that?
Not really. I mean, that's nice because they say Wisconsin after they say a person's name. When they say Frank Kaminsky, they say Wisconsin. So that's always good. But I mean, it's a staff award. It's an award for a team that's done well. And the fact that they give it, I'm one of the few coaches in the country that has coached this long without ever having an awards banquet where I give out a most valuable player, most this player, most that player, best this, best that. I don't get into that stuff. And I always, and I learned back when I was in junior high, they had best personality, most studious, best athlete award. They have all these awards, and gosh, there was so much bickering and petty stuff going on with cliques, and I was thinking, boy, this is stupid. Why do they do this stuff? So then got to the high school, and they started eliminating all those. I'm talking in the 60s. So I don't know if high schools still do it. Most popular. How in the heck do you give a most popular in high school? I don't know. And I'm not mad because I didn't get it. It had nothing. It's just I don't go in for the individual stuff at all. Never have as a youngster, and never have even thought about it as an adult.
Andy?
Bo, have you ever filled out an NCAA tournament bracket or been used as a resource for someone else's bracket?
No, I don't do that. What I did was at Platteville, I had a basketball class, and I let everybody in the class fill one out for bragging rights. And then I'd grade them, tell them who won. But I've never done a bracket. Have I been asked? Yeah, I've had people ask, but I tell them, just talk to the secretary at the office that won it for the last 5 years. Ask her. She's better at it than all these experts. I think I mentioned that. Some people, like they did if it was a Catholic school, they put they're going to win. If it was some type of animal, it was a cute animal, they're going to pick that team. And those people have won. Was that a turnover? But no, I haven't. I haven't given any oh, well, look, this team beat that team here. No, I've never given any real information.
Jeff?
So you gave out an individual award for best bracket, is what you're saying?
Well, for the person that had the most points, I guess. I don't know.
A serious question about Bronson. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that the more games he has started since Jackson went down, the more comfortable he has gotten doing certain things. Has anything he has done, have you been surprised by anything, the way he's handled it throughout this process?
No, it's just not really. If you asked him what I say to him, I said, well, that's what we brought you here for. Seriously, go ahead and ask him. Hey, what has Coach Ryan said to you recently about it? Well, this is what you're here for. So relax and keep your composure, and let's do it again the next time. When he was 1 for 6 and couldn't find the basket, I didn't say anything to him, other than get ready because we're going to need you in the next one. But he's a young man who really, when he was playing up there in lacrosse and going to AAU stuff and different Catholic League tournaments and youth tournaments and all that, his name was a buzz around the state. A lot of people knew about Bronson. I think some people thought that he was one of those guys that was matured early and that he wouldn't get better, that he wouldn't. I didn't think so. Neither did Coach Gard, who was on the recruiting trail on him for a long time. He's the real deal.
Tom?
Bo, do you think this is a better team than you had a year ago at this exact time going into the tournament?
I don't know. I heard from Ben Brust, because you know I'm not one of those social media types. But he did get a message to me, and then I sent a message to him, and then he sent a message back, and I actually, for the first time, sent another message. Usually they're pretty short, and because I'm challenged, and it takes me a while to punch those things. I don't do this. I don't have. And so I said, Ben, we really miss your defense and rebounding. So he sent something back, and I said, Ben, I'm surprised you weren't upset that I didn't say you're scoring. And then he sent something back, and I said, well, hopefully we can have some fun with this, and I know you'll be cheering. So anyhow, and Ben's really the guy, and without Trey, so there's your two guards, two players that started, and their places have been taken by Nigel and Bronson. So I think a year's experience playing in the tournament, you hope that helps. But I look at Duke last year. They had all that experience back. They run into a buzzsaw. A team that can't miss. And you can go on every year, and you can point to things that happen. So the only way this team will prove that they're better is to do what last year's team did and then some, I would think, because that's how everybody else judges. It's not necessarily how I judge, but as far as outside looking in, people are going to want to see, what this crew can do because of expectations or things that have happened before.
Can I follow that? Do you like the way this team's playing?
I do. We were behind in all three of those games in the second half because I broke those down yesterday. I'm not going to do clips on those three games, but I have some notes of things. And if that isn't college basketball, the changes, the streaks, the cold spells, the runs, everything that happened in those games, those are 3 NCAA tournament games, I think. So the fact that we got down, not as a result of us having 15 turnovers, it wasn't like we were throwing the ball all over the place, but we didn't hit some shots. The other team went on a tear, hit some threes, got some transition on us. But to play Michigan, Purdue, and Michigan State and come out that way and get it, I think at 13 where we played Indiana, Michigan, and Ohio State, and we were dead walking out of there. We were tired Sunday. But hopefully, with us playing Friday, I don't know if did we play Friday, Sunday, or Thursday, Saturday in 13? I don't remember. It was Kansas City, yeah. It was Friday. And what time was the game? Now it comes back to me. No, but we had finished 3 games against 3 really good teams. And we get back later than you want on Sunday because they have the post-game thing there and all that. So without us doing anything yesterday, they're completely off their feet. We'll do a little today, do more tomorrow, and get some in our normal day before the game stuff on Thursday in Omaha. So hopefully they'll have their legs. We're going to try to make sure of that. And we're doing some things a little bit differently with recovery and that Eric's into with Henry. The two of them work really well together.
Well, I'm a hockey guy now, but actually remember Jack Givens for Kentucky in '78 and all this other stuff. But I do know that with the NCAA tournament, few people are making some money, few people watch it, right? So I'm going to ask you a question about the Michigan State game late when Josh made that remarkable play to save the possession. He was out of bounds.
Yep.
Do you think they should have replay for plays like that in the final minute or two?
We do.
Can you explain why?
Either
that
the
wasn't
official or the coach should have asked them.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. Okay.
Hey, it's worth a shot, but you know what? The way he flew over the table and everything else, they weren't watching his foot on the floor. But in the last 2 minutes of the game, you can, and all Michigan State had to do was ask. If the officials didn't think that, and the officials, I know what they were looking at, the safety of the young man. So what really made me nervous is as I'm listening to the replay, either on the bus, no, it wasn't on the bus. It was after I got home. I put the game in just to remind myself of a few things. And Raftery or somebody said, well, why aren't they looking at this? What? And then there's a pause. I'm wondering if Grant or somebody hit him and said, hey, we can't say it from over here. They've got to. Raftery said that Michigan State should have, but it isn't just Michigan State. The officials, if they're not sure, they're the ones that can go to the monitor. But it's just something, it's human error, that's all. But that save that he made, maybe there's justice in that he sacrificed his well-being to make a play.
Well, can they look at anything in the final 2 minutes? I was told,
Out of bounds. No, not anything,
play,
but out of
that
bounds.
since there was no call made on that play, there was nothing to review. Because there was not a call. In fact, there was no stoppage. There was nothing to review.
Yeah.
I guess my question is, can they review anything in the final 2 minutes of a game? Anything they
Just
feel should be
out of
reviewed?
bounds, fouls, well, not whether it was a foul or not, but who the foul was on, and three-pointers on the line. So I don't know, Tom. I thought they still could have had the opportunity to have had it looked at, and if they didn't, I haven't called anybody to ask. I didn't want to. I was like, did you call somebody? If I had my phone on me, I'd get John Adams or Rick Boyages on the phone here real quick and find out. Oh, no. I was just watching him making sure he landed safely. And how about the guy that's at the computer, after Josh comes over, and he did kind of help him a little bit, but the guy right away looked to see what was going on the floor. He said, Josh is all right. Does anybody know who that guy was? But you got to see it. His head goes like this. He's all right. Let's go to next. Yeah. He was getting his money's worth. Because if he was at press row, he didn't pay for his ticket. That's one of the subjects that came up in one of our meetings about because of sometimes they maybe send excessive media people, that the media should be charged. Just kidding. It never came up in any National Association of Basketball Coaches meeting. Sometimes they've thought about charging us.
I don't know if you heard it, but to follow up on Raftery's comment, he eventually said they checked after the break and said the only way they could have reviewed it would have been if two players contested it to see if it was off one or the other. I don't know if that's accurate or not.
Oh, no, there's things on whether or
Yeah.
not a guy's foot was out of
Okay.
bounds. No, it doesn't have to be two bodies.
Okay. So he was
That
wrong
I know for sure.
So he was wrong twice, basically.
Well, it is kind of a new rule. So I can get an answer, but I need to get to my phone. And that might take a while. I don't. Who remembers numbers anymore? My home number, TR 60106. From the time I was a kid. TR for Tremont. It was Tremont, and then so it's TR 60106. No area code. No area code. Sure was fun listening to the other people on the party line, though. My sister and I got a few laughs.
I don't know how
You're
go
too
from-
young to remember the party lines, but
Were you a little more emotional after the game the other day than usual? It looked like when you were cutting down the nets that there might have been a little bit of emotion there.
because it's hard to do. It's hard to win both of them. You know, you come in, you're kind of marked, and everybody else is trying to get their niche, trying to improve their seed, trying to do. I mean, it was. You know, Michigan State could have been playing for a 5, maybe, or so. You know, those games in the tournaments aren't ever easy.
I know you've been asked several times about Josh Gosser and what he brings and what he does for this team, but is that play that you were talking about and diving out of bounds, is that kind of the perfect summation, microcosm of what he is and what he represents for this team?
Yeah, without a doubt. He and that interception of the pass. Michigan State tried to get a quick score, and he intercepted the ball, and we came back. He does all the things that, you know, I can't get tired of saying that he's never taken a possession off in practice or in a game. He always sets the tone. I keep trying to get that to rub off on everybody that's been in our program since he's arrived. But he's not the only one. You know, the Jordan Taylors and other guys that have played guard here. Michael Flowers, he played every possession like it was the last. And after the first day of practice, so did Devin Harris. I told you when he asked me, now, Coach, do you expect me to go hard on every drill all the time? Yes, I know I've told you that before, but it's still, I get a kick out of it. To see his face when he went, oh, okay. Never had to worry about him after that. And you guys all come to practice, so you know what I'm talking about.
Anything else for Coach? All right. Thanks, Coach.